Ladies and gentlemen, today I want you to think about your life. Think about your dreams. Think about your desires to impact the world. Think about your goals to make a difference to others. And I also want you to think about what's lacking in your life. I want you to think about the moment when you thought you were less than others. Is there something missing in your life? Have you lost anything? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Raman, and I am here to share my belief with you that making an impact starts with you in your own tiny world first. And I would like to give you the hope that each and every one of us can make an impact in this world in our own special way, no matter what we lost. I want you to think about how many times you have heard that you need to rely on your strengths to excel, to shine, to make a larger difference in the world. Well, what if I told you that your limitations or weaknesses could do equal wonder? I'm standing here to tell you that your weaknesses, your adversities, your struggles, your lacks are far more unique and valuable than your strength to make a huge difference in the world you can't even imagine. Permit me to tell you my story of who I am. I walk with this crutch. I lost my ability to walk long before the age to walk. I got polio when I was just 6 months old. Guess how would you feel when one day you realize that you don't have this capability to walk and you got to live with this limitation forever? It would shatter anyone, right? It shattered me too. Did that stop me from moving forward in life? No. Did that stop me from making an impact in the world I live? No. Did my adversity make me a difference maker and an impact maker? Oh, hell yeah. At every point in our life, we got to make a choice, either to keep looking for a perfect life or keep excelling upon our lacks and use that learning on the path to excellence to make an impact in the world. The second choice is what I intend to share with you today. Today, I'm going to talk about 3 aspects of making an impact out of your adversities, the way I learned through my journey. I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to talk about your lacks, and I'm going to talk about your leverages and how all these 3 things work with each other to make you as an impact maker. Every one of us come across crisis, adversity, traumas, setbacks, failures, sickness, disability in our lives. And when it happens, it causes 2 things. One is loss. Loss can be anything like business loss, health loss, relationship loss, job loss, family loss, or any such thing. And the second thing, it creates a limitation on you. You're unable to do something you wanted to do so much. Like you can't go to sports. You can't choose the job you want. You can't have the life you seek. Have you ever seen loss or limitation because of any adversity? I bet you would have. But let me ask you this. Did that loss make you any less? No. Each of these losses may have created its lacks inside you, a sort of hole you find it difficult to fill. It can be emotional, physical, psychological, or even financial hole. It's okay. There could be thousands of things you might lack inside you, outside you, or around you, but it's okay. What I found is that these lacks you feel during your adversities or struggles are precisely the things that are going to make you as an impact maker. You might be shocked to hear about what I'm saying, that your lacks makes you impact makers. You want to know how and why. Please write it down. The thing you lack the most is exactly the thing you want to excel upon at the first place, isn't it? You'll become hungry. You'll become obsessed to accelerate. And when you attain excellence in your own way, you'll become an impact maker. I'm going to share a story with you. This one day, when I was 7-year-old back in India, that comes in my mind. I was coming back from my primary school with some classmates. I was walking. Yeah, walking with this alien thing called calipers. It's like a iron plates that went from my belly all the way down to my ankle just to keep my leg and hip in place. It's something like what you see in the picture. That's not my picture, but it's almost like that minus stretches. And I almost looked like a one-legged Iron Man. The only problem was that I couldn't fly like him. So I had no choice. I had to walk. Can you imagine that I was only 7 years old, weighing perhaps 22 kg and still dragging this 20 kg thing on my paralyzed leg? I had to hold this entire thing with my small hands. Then I had to use my belly muscles to lift it and then put it ahead of me to take one step and then repeat again. At that moment, the pain in my belly, on my legs, on my back was so excruciating that I get a cold wave in my spine. Even today, when I recall it, my classmates left me behind. I was too slow for them. Right. I cursed myself. Am I always going to be so slow and be left behind? What I realize is that physical limitation caused by our own adversities, traumas, crises are not a big deal. The big deals are the one we create in our minds. It could be emotional, mental, psychological, mindset-related limitations. That day, the weight I was dragging on my leg was not just an iron cast. It was the heavy inferiority complex. Have you ever felt that? You drag that weight when you feel that you are not good enough, when you feel that you're limited in doing what you want, to feel that you're rejected. That weight holds you back, drags you down, slows you down. It sometimes even stops you in your life. You feel disabled just like me. These are the thoughts that not let you move forward in your life. But those are the moments when your lacks, your limitation make you hungry to excel upon the things that are holding you back. Those are the moments when your hunger makes as your defining moments. That one experience in my life repeated many times in my early years. And those became my defining moments for what was yet to come. I told myself that day, if I couldn't walk fast, I would find speed in something else. I got hungry for speed. Isn't it so ironic that a disabled guy who can't even walk is seeking speed? But that's exactly the weirdness of hunger and obsession is, even if at the surface the goal looks impossible. In the next 2 decades, I followed speed. I went on doing every possible experiments within my reach to see how I could learn something faster. If one thing did not work, I tried another. I sought failure after failure. I figured how I could learn things from physics to poetry. How could I do the things of that wide spectrum in a faster time? The result, in no time, I was studying books 6 years ahead of my age. As I grew up, I continued my experiments beyond study to learn new skills, even trying bicycle with one leg. And they never gave me a driving license because of my condition. Then I learned to drive car myself, all alone. Scary, but it's true. That's how I found my superpowers of a real Iron Man, to be able to fly, to be able to run. Because the thing you lack the most is the thing you want to excel the most, isn't it? Folks, perhaps your legs are a unique gift you forget to use because you're always fighting with it, always trying to break it. What if this thing is what defines you? What if your leg makes you so unique the way my disability defines me? Here is the thing. The lacks I lived through made me feel the lacks of others. Is it this we want to do in the long run as an impact maker or a difference maker, to be able to make a difference to other people's lacks? And that's how I see the impact making and difference making. My race with my lacks and my experiments made me someone. Today, I am world's leading expert on speed in professional performance. Ironic is that I can't walk, but I teach organizations and professionals how to walk fast in their jobs. I show them how they can excel in their career and be faster and be able to keep making difference to their families. I contribute to organizations to cut short their employee development time, to provide better services to the society and a better life to their employees. Isn't it a difference making? I guess it is. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes people tell me that their life is incomplete or unfulfilled because they got 1,000 lakhs. But what I think is that you don't have to be the best in the class. In fact, I realize more you are at disadvantage, more you are hungry to excel over it. So I repeat again, your lacks, your limitations are your best bet to make an impact, make a difference. Go forward. Think where you can make an impact regardless of what you lack. But guys, the best thing don't come without your conviction. You got to be hungry to excel over it. Are you hungry to excel over your lacks? Take a moment to think about this. How deeply, strongly you feel the hunger to excel over it. And you're hungry for something or lack it badly, you get better at it. And that hunger to excel is what starts your journey to make impact and difference. Can you all relate to this? I went through numerous training programs to see how I could develop myself as a speaker. One thing I noticed that we have overloaded the word impact. When we talk about impact or making a difference, we all start making it about impacting the millions. But we forget to include an important person to start with, to make an impact upon, to make a difference to. And that one person, ladies and gentlemen, is you. Yeah, you heard me right. First, you need to make a difference on yourself, for yourself. Impact the way you progress, the way you think, the way you learn, the way you excel. Ladies and gentlemen, get all your energies directed toward yourself. When you do that, you'll learn at each step how you struggled, how the world around you may not be a perfect world, and how would you really want to change that world to be better. Unless you go through that journey of focusing on yourself, excelling yourself, making a huge difference to yourself, you would have no idea where and how you can make a bigger difference in the world. You would not know where the world is imperfect, that needs exactly your hard-earned wisdom. Think about what I just said. Let me take you back to my story. In my school and childhood days, I was very generously given a nickname invented by the best of the best in the school. The nickname translates to crippled in English. For decades, it was my name in the school and in my neighborhood. If some classmate was to find my home, all they had to ask around was the home of the crippled guy. For years and years, that was my identity. How badly I wished I wanted to change that label. Ever experienced something in your early years when you hated what you were going through? Or the time you got bullied in the school? Those are the moments when you want to be somebody else, isn't it? That time I wanted to be somebody unique, somebody differentiated, somebody who would not be called crippled. Well, did I knew back then that exactly the same thing itself was my uniqueness. It was my differentiator, and it was my real identity. How many times have you compared yourself to others, thinking others were better than you and you were not as good enough? Ever happened? We keep comparing ourselves with others, isn't it? But as a child, that comparison takes you on a different path. Those moments I thought I needed something that can make me stand out, be known for something more than my disability, be able to prove my other capabilities and make my own place in this tiny world. I thought I could make that place if I had more differentiating capabilities than others. I wasn't born talented or gifted or brilliant. I was just an average kid like most of you here. But more often, things you and I achieve is because we genuinely crave to be our better versions. Or many times you won't even have the choice than to excel. I didn't have much choice back then. Little did I knew back then, it has something bigger in store when you focus on yourself. Back to my story. In 8th grade school, I happened to read biography of Isaac Newton. He was a brilliant scientist. He did a lot of things, but I guess all of us remember him for Newton's three laws of physics. But do you know that he was disabled too? He suffered from stuttering, epilepsy, and autism till he discovered the most foundational laws in physics. Isn't it amazing? When I got interested in reading about other scientists, I read about Thomas Edison. He was deaf. And Albert Einstein had learning disabilities. Famous Leonardo da Vinci is said to be dyslexic. That struck me. I thought, if Newton and all these guys can, why can't I? Think about this one. There are moments in life which are simply so profound that it would define you, who you are for the rest of your life. It would define the course, how you would make a difference in the world. Can you recall that moment? I remember once my teacher asked me, "What do you want to be?" "I want to be a scientist." Imagine a one-legged guy who could hardly walk, who is good enough to be subject to judgment. He is standing in front of the class. It's saying he wanted to be a scientist. I'm talking some 35 years ago. How many kids do you hear having that kind of crazy goal? Probably not many. I could see eye-rolling reaction on the faces of my classmates. Those eye-rolling reactions told me, was it? This is my best bet to prove myself. How many times do you find that moment in life that tells you, this is it. This is what's going to make you move forward? Happened with anyone? I hardly understood back then what it would take to become a scientist, but I stick to it. But most engineering institutes rejected me because of my condition. But what you're hungry for, you'll get it. Despite my condition, at the age of 20, I went on to become an electronics engineer. Yeah, that's me. I look different now. And guess what? Less than a year later, I was hired as a scientist at one of India's premier research labs. I served there for 10 years. You might feel, oh, wow, you wanted to be a scientist to make the world a better place. Honestly, my goal was nowhere read like I wanted to change the world with some breakthrough inventions. It was nowhere on my radar. Race was to make a difference to myself. It might sound too self-centered, but that was the reality back then. That's how I realized this big thing, that we are always in a hurry to think big and seek some glorious journey of making significant differences to the world. But we ignore making a difference to our own world first. What if we focus on making a difference to ourselves first? Difference to our tiny world around us? Think about this. Anyway, today I am one among few performance scientists in the world. In my journey, I did research, studied how people perform and excel in their personal and professional life. I feel the pain people have. You go to your work with your best intention to do the great work, but then you hit the bottleneck, like lack of support, lack of resources, lack of mentoring, lack of other things, because your leaders don't have an idea what you really need to perform faster at the workplace. How much you wished someone came and educated these managers and leaders to help you with the progression in life. Perhaps that's where I want to make some difference. I set up a research forum where I make a research on performance freely available to corporate world. Someday, it may make a difference. Think about this for a moment. My disability, the big lack in my own life, probably was the fuel to be scientist at a much faster rate. And that's one reason I'm able to make a small difference to the world and organizations I touch. That's what people sometimes ignore, to notice that our limitations, our adversities, may be the actual fuel we need to propel ourselves like a rocket and eventually make a bigger impact. This is what I was talking earlier, but that outward difference making starts with you first. Make a difference to yourself. Make an impact on yourself. Make a small impact in your tiny world. How many of you are with me and can relate with me? Ladies and gentlemen, use your adversities as a powerhouse to make a difference to yourself and then take that light to lit the darker places where you want to make a bigger difference. Adversities don't come alone. It comes with a key. The key to make you as an impact maker or a difference maker. What's that key? Let me tell you about that key through an incident in my life. When I was a kid, I was pretty much confined to 10 by 10 feet room. It was on a second story, and there was a window that looked across to the street. From that window, I could see the kids of neighborhoods playing all day long. Some playing cricket, some playing hide and seek, some making noise, some chasing each other and laughing to their fullest. Imagine every day you watch the people doing the thing you couldn't do. You feel bad. How many of you were in a situation where you didn't belong? You felt neglected. You felt undesired. I bet many of you, that happens with all of us. Live in a world of things. We compare ourselves with everyone, right? I don't say comparison is bad. It's good. We got to have comparisons to identify what we lack the most and how much we care about it and what we could do about it. We are humans. We need fulfillment. Back then, I felt as if I am never going to be able to build my place in this world. I felt I was never going to be someone's ideal when they say they want to be like me. Rather, I believe that no one would want to listen to me or be with me. But today, all of you are listening to me, right? But to reach to this point, it has been a journey. Back then, I noticed a pattern. Almost every evening, somebody's mother would start yelling at them, chasing them to stop playing and pull them inside their houses. How many of you had mothers who did that way when you were a kid? Well, you know what I mean? It was a fun age, isn't it? Not for me, though. I found my fun noticing one thing. Nobody chased me to do anything. Nobody ever yelled at me. Enough of sitting. Go and play now. Nobody disturbed me. How many of you had friends who always came by and pulled you out from your houses to play? Many, right? Luckily, I did not have any spoilers. Let me ask you this. When you were a kid, did you feel that you had so little time given to you for everything? Sitting all day long in my room, I figured I had some luxuries no kid possibly had at that age, but I had plenty of distraction-free time. Isn't it amazing? I could sit, focus, pay attention, think deeply, immerse myself into a universe of reading and learning, begin to read and learn anything I came across. I tried reading books on English, science, arts, philosophy, psychology, and even chemistry. There was no boundary for me. Remember, I was reading Dale Carnegie while other kids were reading comics. How many times your parents would have told you to stop daydreaming? But for me, daydreaming was a gift. I didn't realize earlier that vivid imagination, creative thinking. Soon it made me become a writer. I wrote poetry, stories, drama, and magazine articles while other kids were struggling to write essays. My leverages did not stop there. I had healthy hands like other kids. I used them to try painting, sketching, designing, and other creative arts while kids were busy playing cricket with their hands. What you see on the slide behind me is a massive photo books of those paintings I drew as a kid. But think about this. How often do you try to see the leverages behind your challenges? More often, we are too busy trying to break the wall of limitation that we forget to locate the windows among those walls. It's common sense. Don't most walls have windows too? Guys, there are numerous opportunities. There are windows among those walls. There are leverages all around you. Somewhere we are going to find windows that could make us see the world beyond those walls that are limiting our vision. I began to see so many windows of opportunities, leverages, and advantages. I leveraged every window my limitation offered to me back then. Honestly, I was an average kid. I was not a genius, just a simple thought changed the course of my life. If I can't walk or play, what else could I do? That question opened up my world of leverages most people would ignore. Have you thought about that your adversity might have so beautiful but unrecognized leverages? What is that you have and give you an edge? Back then, soon when word got out about the things I was achieving, some kids who bullied me actually became envious as they wished secretly they were disabled too. You see, equation changing now because I could do things nobody thought I could. The immobility that I was cursing so badly seemed like my things now. Over time, I earned over 100 international and educational credentials, including 2 doctorates, and I wrote 20 books. All that without becoming insane or growing long gray hairs. All those leverages transformed me as a guy who has gone through worst to the best learning modalities and everything in between. I mastered the most foundational process of human existence, which is learning. My small leverages have opened up unlimited opportunity for me to make an impact in education, business, professionals, leaders, organizations, and I'm hoping someday on the society. I increasingly see teachers simply teach as a job, not as someone who has mastered the art of learning. We learn from employees or content experts in universities who have no idea how learning happens. We work for managers and leaders who are so badly equipped to enable employee learning. Do you feel what I mean? Perhaps I can be an impact maker like a small lighthouse when I help people, managers, kids, teachers, and professors to become learning experimenters. That's what everyone who wants to make an impact or a difference should think of. Being a small lighthouse, even if we can save one ship in the ocean and direct them to shore, it is an impact. It is a difference. Ladies and gentlemen, have you thought that your own adversity might be holding some keys to something where you could make an impact? I would not have been able to make this impact had I not found the leverages out of my adversity. Think about for a moment. You might have more leverages than me in the middle of your adversity. Look for those leverages. Look for those windows beyond the walls, and you would make a memorable impact in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about the struggles you had in your life. I want you to think about the lacks you suffered. I want you to think about your wounds. I want you to think about the wisdom those lacks have brought into this world. Oprah Winfrey says, make your wounds into your wisdom, and then that wisdom would make a larger difference. It would make a larger impact. I want to close this presentation with a message. Your path to making an impact always starts with you. Make a positive difference to your tiny world first. If you have lacked certain things, those are your best bets to make an impact. Don't give up upon your adversities. And your journey for impact making starts with your hunger for excellence. If you have lacked something, you are going to find several ways you would become an impact maker. Look for windows among the walls that are limiting you. Friends, your adversity, your lacks, your limitations can be your best bet to make an impact.